I was looking at, do you think that there's going to be some gray lines on these zoning issues? Because I'm looking at, I'm starting to see like residential and industrial and restaurants and industrial, and you're starting to see office buildings and industrial, and you're starting to see kind of a blend. Certainly not in the single family neighborhoods, because NIMBY, not in my backyard, but in some of the other areas, you're like I saw self-storage get converted into an office building, and an office building get converted into residential, and like all these things are going on, and I seen some industrial areas are starting to be a little more urban, hip kind of loft stuff. What are you seeing in that area? Because it looks like people are like, and by the way, industrial areas generally are the cheapest.
Yep.
Areas.
Yeah.
So you think about as you drive through, you got those big roller doors and everything, and the trucks and everything. Generally, people don't like to live there, eat there, all that kind of stuff. But that seems to be changing. We were just in Dallas 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I was seeing these interior designers pop up, and these great restaurants pop up, and there's some really cool residential pop up right outside of Dallas in these industrial areas. So, are you seeing that all over?
Yeah, there's the lines are getting blurred. You're right. And it's. And to your point, there's the NIMBYism that's going to say no, 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 no. And I guess it depends. It's municipality to municipality. So, the cities that are more open to a little bit of that blurred line that is going to see the progress that they really need to, because you're right, industrial sometimes becomes retail, office becomes retail becomes office. So there needs to be an open look at how those things are, or else you're going to have dead zones, and you don't want dead zones. You want to see the backfilling in whatever it is, and because retail has become industrial in a lot of ways because of distribution centers, and office has become medical, and it's real interesting.
It's super interesting. You used to be able to like you would go to a medical area like around a hospital and all that stuff would be, but now they've got residential over retail and residential over warehouse, and it's like and by the way, if you think about it, if you're in an office area and you're living, it's quiet at night, like everyone goes home. Same thing with industrial. Everybody goes home. So these are quiet areas. Everybody, it kind of moves around the city to these zones based on what they are. But I see that it's all blending right now. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and it's cool. I mean, it is. Cities that do that are cool cities, and becoming.
They are. Yeah. You're seeing it a lot in the progressive ones.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I know when we were just at that Dallas event, and it was very cool to see. We had this great event downtown, actually in the industrial area, and at this really cool bar, and right across was interior designer and residential, all this really little vibe going on. And sometimes those are the beginnings of transformations too. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, they do. And there's always the one that goes in, and or the restaurant that goes into a residential area, and everybody says no, it's never going to work here, and then 5 restaurants follow, and we've seen it, and
all the time.
And the success, and what that does is it transforms an area. It I mean, I could point out very specific ones where a cool place has increased home values and has brought in other types of businesses and retail businesses.
We see that a lot in Phoenix with like the VIG in Arcadia, and they're actually putting a VIG over in Scottsdale now. I mean, so a lot of those kind of fun places, because a lot of people want a fun spot to go, almost like a neighborhood bar or restaurant, right? So if the right thing comes in, that makes it more of a fun vibe, and people want to live there. Yeah,
if you look at, you mentioned the VIG, and Postino was a great example in Arcadia as well, where that was a residential neighborhood, and he went into an old post office.
That's right.
And look what has happened as a result. And then same thing in downtown Gilbert, where there was kind of a standoffish.
Yeah, and almost all single family.
All single family, and then it really has all of Gilbert has changed.
It's completely changed now. It's and it's more.
Because they have like a downtown.
It's right. It's really cool though. Yeah. The downtown sucked.
Yeah.
For years, right? You would drive right through it and not even know it was Gilbert's downtown, and if you did, you were going, "This is not a very nice downtown." But now it's completely better.
Yeah. Someone took a risk, and everyone followed. But I think the death of all this is exaggerated, and
I do too.
Sunbelt states, 50% of the population is in the Sunbelt states. Did you know that? That's crazy.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's Sunbelt states would be
basically if you look at the smile of the country, right?
Okay.
And so California is considered a Sunbelt state, but really, if you look at the smile from Southern California, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida, all the way to Florida.
Okay.
That's where.
So if somebody was going to buy office or run out an office space, would you recommend they do it now, or should they wait to kind of see how
Good
things
question.
go?
Yeah,
Good question.
I know. The crystal ball question.
Put them on the spot.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I don't like having to time the market. If you need it now, I would rent it now or buy it now, because and here's the thing: interest rates are going up. So even if prices go down and interest rates go up, it's a net zero, right? So and then we don't know what's going to be available. So it depends on where you are. In places like Phoenix, for example, where there's been a little bit of a slowdown of new development, new construction, it's going to catch up because the supply is not necessarily going to be there.
Because people are here.
People are here.
People are moving here, so it's putting more demand on those things.
Yeah. So I think you buy now or lease now, because you don't know what's going to be there later. And we're seeing it. We're seeing people that are selling their buildings. We just recently we were working with somebody, and they're selling their building, and they needed to find a space though when they sell, because they wanted to now lease, and because they're kind of near the last few years before retirement, and the building went into escrow, and there was no space that fit their needs. So it was really a challenge and kind of a fear as to what happened. So
because of no new construction.
No new construction.
So we have the same thing on multifamily, because it's hard to zone, build, finance. Construction costs are high to build a new office buildings, especially small little garden ones. Nobody's doing those.
Right.
I wish they were, but nobody's
know.
building the 5,000-10,000 square foot office buildings. It's a huge market, if you guys, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Huge market
Yeah.
that hasn't been done for a long time.
And after the pandemic, there's not only the need for it, but the desire for that. We're sitting in one right now where you get out of your car, walk right in.
Yep.
There's a lot. My office is very similar. Robert's office is very similar.
Yep.
It's that
Pull right
small-
up in front of it and go in.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And then when you want to get on a phone call and walk outside, you can. And you want to walk to coffee, you can.
All those little things.
Yeah, it's very little. You don't have to get in the car and drive.